Hello and welcome to this video for VCE Media students, particularly focusing on Unit 4 Outcome 2, Agency and Control. This is a video on a case study related to regulation, specifically the issues and challenges with regulating the media in today's modern media landscape. And this case study we're going to call the Ken Park case study. And we're specifically looking at the Australian Classification Board and how in the past it used to be able to regulate films and video games like Ken Park, but today they have trouble. So the big idea behind this case study and what this kind of shows us is methods of government regulation from the broadcast era are no longer adequate in a globalized digital media landscape. That's because today media content is intangible, it's globally distributed, and it is prolific. What that means is intangible. We can't get a physical copy of it. It is out there in the ether that is the online space. It is globally distributed. What somebody uploads in Brazil, somebody in Australia can access within seconds. And then finally, it's prolific. There are hundreds of hours of video being uploaded to YouTube and other streaming platforms every minute. So it is far beyond what used to be available in the broadcast era. And so this has impacted the ability for older regulatory bodies, such as the Classification Board of Australia, to police content and uphold community values as effectively as they once could. That idea of upholding community values is, of course, a key rationale for regulating the media. And so this case study highlights that it almost can't be done this way, or at the very least, it can't be done like it used to be. So here's the example of this case study of Ken Park. Now, what actually happened with Ken Park? Well, in 2002, Ken Park was refused classification due to its depictions of actual sex. So this is not simulated sex scenes that we might see actors acting. Many of the scenes were real sex between two actors. And the Classification Board deemed that these acts were depicted, quote, in such a way that they offend against the standards of morality, decency, and propriety generally accepted by reasonable adults. Now, without going into too much detail about what these scenes are, the actual nature of some of these scenes is that they were violent sex scenes. A number of them were non-consensual. They featured characters who were underage, not the actors, but the characters. And in those depictions of violent, non-consensual sex, the attitude of the Classification Board was that it actually glorified these rather than depicting them in a negative way. So after this film was refused classification, it means that it could not be sold or screened or hired out anywhere in Australia. However, a group led by prominent Australian film critic Margaret Pomerantz decided to screen the film despite that ban.
I'm here to see a film that I think everyone should have a choice to be able to see. I don't like the idea that someone is going to make up my mind for me.
You know, I'm an adult. We should be able to see any film that there is that's around there. This film has been shown in many other countries, so why can't we see it in Australia? What's wrong with us?
What happened was they organised an event and it was publicised enough that the police knew that they would be screening this film that was effectively banned in Australia. And so the police first requested that the film be turned off. And in that moment, Pomerantz did agree and temporarily turned off the film. However, she got a little bit excited and the crowd was cheering, wanting the film, so she put it back on. And so at that point, the police actually turned off the power to the entire theatre, preventing audiences from seeing that film. They then, with a little bit more forcibly, confiscated the DVD that they were using, and they took the names of Pomerantz and the other organisers. And although they were not arrested, they were charged. So what this shows us is in 2003, when this event actually occurred, it was actually quite easy for the police to enforce these rules, right? This is before Web 2.0, when video streaming online was at a quality that most people could access it. And the film is still banned today and cannot be sold or screened anywhere in Australia. However, it doesn't take too long to be able to locate some copies. And while I would not recommend anybody see this film, I tend to agree with the classification board that the scenes are not worth watching from any adult. As recently as August 2024, Australian audiences can access Ken Park fairly easily through a variety of means. Australian audiences could access this film through illegal pirating sites such as kickasstorrents.to. Australian audiences could also use a VPN to masquerade their IP address as being located somewhere overseas, such as America, where this film is legal to view. And they can access legal international streaming platforms like Mubi. Currently, Mubi, a quite popular streaming platform, does have Ken Park available for audiences outside of Australia. The other way that audiences can view this is there's even links to streaming sites in the comments of YouTube videos claiming to be the full film. So a search for Ken Park full movie on YouTube will present audiences with a couple of options. If they click on one of them, they don't actually see the film on YouTube. However, there will be a link and in the comments, and then they can stream it from there. So what does this tell us? Well, this case study, it highlights some key challenges in regulating content in the contemporary media landscape. Tangible or physical media was once easy for authorities to regulate. Police could block DVDs from arriving on boats on Australian shores. As we saw in this example, they could turn off the power to projectors and they could seize distribution of offensive material. They have the power to fine cinemas that would screen this refused classification material. So they had a lot of power and a lot of ability to actually police tangible media. However, today, as media content is now intangible and globally available, plus as savvy online audiences have increased agency and can use things like VPNs or find some dodgy streaming sites online, limiting the distribution of banned content is nearly impossible for regulators nowadays. And then furthermore, online distribution, it's prolific. There is lots and lots constantly emerging, and this results in a futile whack-a-mole approach to regulation. That reference to whack-a-mole is that game that you might find at carnivals where you hit one mole that pops up and then it sinks down and then another one pops up in its place. That's the idea of the challenges that we face policing content online. As soon as you remove or block one website hosting a refused classification film like Ken Park, another one will just pop up in its place, and savvy media audiences will be able to find it. So we can see there, DVDs, tangible media, easy to confiscate, easy to stop people from seeing. But when things are online, in the ether, intangible, it is much harder to police what people are accessing at their own homes online. And so this connects quite nicely to a key phrase from the VCE Media study design, that as the media increasingly crosses national borders, governments struggle to maintain control over the laws and policies created for their jurisdictions. So in this case, as Chem Park is available online through various means, the Australian Classification Board struggles to maintain the control that it once had. And so that is our example of one case study related to the issues and challenges of regulating the media in Australia today. Thank you for watching.